there is one word to describe how this community feels right now, and that is hurt.
You can't have a governor and his cronies for the last 4 years gaslighting the black community and people here in our state and not know that this is going to be the result of it.
Meanwhile,
take one step on that rope and I'll cut it.
This shooting was racially motivated and he hated black people.
The people in this community, they're hurting and they have every right to.
a few moments later.
Now y'all just be quiet just a minute.
Y'all just be quiet, y'all. Y'all just be quiet.
Come on in here. Come on.
Who's going to milk that cow, Miss Scarlett? We is house workers.
Let the governor say what he gonna say, and we gonna get this party started. You hear me? Okay, let's do it.
Salute and welcome back to Unknown Soldier Radio. And I'm Dog Tags. Yeah. First and foremost, I want to say salute and rest in power to the Jacksonville shooting victims. 29-year-old Gerald Gallion, 52-year-old Angela Carr, 19-year-old adult AJ LaGuardia Jr. And they were all deleted by a white supremacist by the name of Ryan Palmeter, who decided to be judge, jury, and executioner. But I'm not here to talk about just Ryan Palmeter. See, we know who he is and who people of his ilk are. I'm here to talk about the systematic, governmental benign and neglect policies that have been put in place and the black politicians who continue to receive their benign and neglect buttered biscuits from people like him.
Now, if the governor wanted to come here and he bringing gifts to my community, y'all know I'm taking the gifts because we've been through enough already and I don't want to go through no more.
Do you know one thing that I just can't wrap my mind around? And for years, I think I've decompartmentalized this part of my brain and shut the door that leads to the hallway, which leads to the room where these files are kept. And that's history. It's black history. It's political history and black political history in this corporation/country called the United States of America.
You can't make this shit up.
And the reason I say that is because black women as a whole have short-term memory loss when it comes to history, any history, but particularly black history and the history of how black men were treated in this country during antebellum slavery. See, before there were politicians, there was politics. And before politics, there was policy. And before policy, there was law. But the only people who were systemically detained and accosted and arrested before there was law was us.
You can't make this shit up.
So for this councilwoman from Jacksonville, Florida by the name of Jacoby Pittman to grieve, to emote with the very same community that she's a part of and is a councilwoman in, only to turn around and berate those same people for what they're going through. She's out of order. This current 117th Congress has 58 black politicians. 56 are Democrat and 2 of them are Republican. And out of the 58 black politicians in Congress, 26 of them are black women.
You can't make this shit up.
You know who this reminds me of? Or not so much who, but the air of the politics and the policies that will be put in place from the politician is Shirley Chisholm. And if you don't know who Shirley Chisholm was or are not familiar with her politics or her policies as it related to black people, you're really not missing much. But for the sake of black history, Shirley Chisholm was the first black female congresswoman elected to the 12th District of New York in 1968. And you know what the funny thing is? She didn't even consider herself black.
You can't make this shit up.
Am I clear to you? Can you see me?
Gotcha, bitch.
See, although Shirley Chisholm was born in Brooklyn, New York, she considered herself Barbadian or from Barbados or East Caribbean.
You can't make this shit up.
That's why when it comes to politics, from a foundational Black American perspective, the optics are always black, but the sights are always white. I'm gonna say that one more time for my soldiers in the back. When it comes to politics regarding foundational Black Americans in this country, the optics are always black, but the sights are always white.
You can't make this shit up.
This is just one example of a myriad or a plethora of reasons as to why politics as it relates to foundational Black Americans in this country does not work, and we haven't received a damn thing.
You can't make this shit up.
Now, do you know what Shirley Chisholm did her very first day in office after being elected under the campaign and the guise of racial equality for Black men and Black women and gender equality? You know what she did her very first day in office? She hired an entire female staff.
You can't make this shit up.
Half of the women she hired were Black, the other half were... That's just another thing that grinds my gears about being a foundational Black American man in this country, and especially being a veteran, is that the fact that men innately desire to take care of their family. So if I'm receiving the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, the gold that I'm receiving there in turn goes to my wife and then to my children, so that they reap the benefits of our hard work and our progress. But it's always opposite when women get in positions of power, or especially political offices, because they're no longer Black first, they're women first.
You can't make this shit up.
And as a foundational Black American man, I already know that I'll be excluded and skipped over any programs, plans, benefits, policies, loans, grants, scholarships, any funding from any governmental agency that can help men will be denied because they'll be given to women.
You can't make this shit up.
Do y'all want a life hack? My foundational Black American soldiers, do you want a life hack where you can gain political presence by rewinding your mind into time? I'm going to take that as a yes. So the only thing that you need to do is replace the word politician with abolition.
You can't make this shit up.
You're welcome. See, almost 100 years to the day, in stark comparison, when Shirley Chisholm first took office as the first Black African American / Black American female to hold a political office from the 12th Congressional District of New York, there was Hiram Revels, who was the first Black African American male or first Black male to hold a Senate office in 1870. And mind you, this is only 7 years after Reconstruction, where you still had great intellectual minds like Frederick Douglass, W.E.B. Du Bois, and Booker T. Washington battling over intellectual rights, because W.E.B. Du Bois was for education. Booker T. Washington, he was for money. He was like, get to the bag, forget education. We need vocational education for our Black men and women, and we want to segregate. And W.E. Du Bois was like, no, I want to fight for women's rights and education, but I'm not with segregation. And that's why you have to look at these current politicians as if they were or could be your abolitionists, fighting for your rights, so to speak. But see, the thing is, don't nobody want to fight for men's rights, because if these women were truly our women, then they will be on our side. They'll be fighting for our rights. They'll be fighting for the reparations that we deserve as a Black community, as foundational Black Americans as a whole. But when you're living in a modern age, solipsistic gynocratic society where women can't even see the nose on their face, and if it needed to be spited, then that's a no.
Because we've been through enough already, and I don't want to go through no more.
I thought things had changed. I was able to literally, not figuratively, talk Strom Thurmond into voting for the Civil Rights Act before he died. And I thought, well, maybe there's real progress. But hate never dies. It just hides. It hides under the rocks.
Law enforcement has not yet publicly identified the alleged shooter, but officials say he lived with his parents in neighboring Clay County. And at 1:18 Saturday, he texted his father telling his dad to check his computer. By 1:53 p.m., the suspect's family called to alert the Clay County Sheriff's Office, but by that time, the shooting had already started.
The harsh reality is that white supremacy has been an insidious cancer on our society and nation since its inception. This is the history that we have all inherited. It has been passed down from generation to generation. We must acknowledge that history. See that history for what it is. Recognize it. And learn from it, or we are doomed to repeat it.